Lakers fans, sit down. Because at 4:15 this afternoon, in the middle of a Los Angeles summer that has been the most chaotic offseason this franchise has lived through in 20 years, Luka Doncic, your franchise player, the 27-year-old European superstar who led the entire NBA in scoring at 33.5 points per game, the man this entire building is being architected around now that LeBron James has publicly walked out the door. Luka went on the Pat McAfee show, live, in front of 2.1 million viewers, and delivered a quote about Kawhi Leonard that has this entire fan base losing its mind. Because 39 minutes before Luka's segment went live, Shams Charania broke the news that the Kawhi Leonard trade to the Toronto Raptors, the deal that had been agreed upon on June 30th but paused pending the NBA's investigation into the Clippers' aspiration sponsorship, that trade has officially collapsed. Kawhi Leonard, two-time Finals MVP, two-time NBA champion, seven-time All-Star, is a free agent, available on the open market, and 41 minutes after Shams broke it in 41 minutes, Luka Doncic walked into a Pat McAfee studio and said something that told every single insider in the league that Kawhi Leonard is putting on a Lakers jersey. Before you scroll off, before you assume this is another rumor, I'm telling you right now, by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the one specific word Luka used that told Rob Pelinka to book a private plane to San Diego. I'm also going to tell you what Rich Paul, LeBron James's agent, tweeted 42 minutes later. A single letter, no context, no punctuation, that has this entire fan base convinced the deal is done. Stay with me. Do not click off. Here's how it went down. Pat McAfee has Luka on for what was supposed to be a light summer interview. Talk about Slovenia, talk about the season ahead, talk about the pick and pop, the usual, and then Pat, live on air, opens his laptop and reads the Shams tweet. The Kawhi Leonard trade to Toronto has officially collapsed. Leonard is a free agent. And Pat looks at Luka and goes, "Luka, my guy, thoughts?" And Luka, who normally deflects everything, who normally gives you a smile and a "we'll see," Luka stops, looks at Pat and says, and I'm giving you the full quote because every word matters, "Kawhi is a killer. I've watched him since I was a kid in Slovenia. He is the exact type of player who wins you a championship. And I will say this, I already told Rob this morning, if he becomes available, we need him. We need him. This is a Lakers moment. This is what my team needs. And I will do whatever I have to do, cap sacrifice, contract structure, whatever, to make this happen." Read that back. I will do whatever I have to do. Luka Doncic, 27 years old, publicly volunteering to restructure his own contract for a player who is not even signed yet. That is a superstar committing his own personal money, his personal cap situation, to bring in another superstar. That is the language of a franchise player who is done playing and is ready to start winning. And 42 minutes later, Rich Paul, LeBron James's agent, the most powerful agent in the NBA, the man who represents both LeBron and, quietly, has business relationships with half the star players in the league, Rich Paul posted a single letter to his Twitter account. The letter K, that's it. K, no punctuation, no emoji, no context. Just the letter K. Within 4 minutes, that tweet had 800,000 impressions. Within 22 minutes, it had 2 million. Because in the NBA insider ecosystem, Rich Paul does not tweet single letters for fun. Rich Paul tweets when he is signaling something to the market. And every insider in the league, Shams, Woj, Fisher, Haynes, every single one of them read that K as Kawhi and started making phone calls. Chris Haynes went on NBA TV 40 minutes later and said, and I'm quoting, "I've talked to 3 sources this afternoon. Kawhi Leonard has one team on his mind, and it is the Los Angeles Lakers." Rich Paul's K tweet is not a coincidence. This is happening. 3 sources, Rich Paul K. And it lines up perfectly with Luka's "we need him" quote from 39 minutes earlier. This is the biggest coordinated NBA signaling event of the summer. Now, the whiplash. Because I know exactly what you're doing. You're going, wait, Kawhi is 35. His knees are held together with duct tape. He plays 50 games a year at best. Why is Luka excited about him? And it's a fair question. But sit with me. Because once you understand what specifically about Kawhi's game plugs into Luka's game, and once you understand what Kawhi being available for a discount means for a Lakers franchise that spent all summer being ghosted by LeBron and losing out on Anthony Davis, this quote stops being weird and starts being one of the most predictable statements a superstar has ever made about a legend on the market. Let's investigate. 3 reasons Luka said what he said. Reason 3 is the one that turns this from quote into manifesto. Reason number 1, the playoff moment. Watch how the Lakers were swept by Oklahoma City in the second round of the playoffs. Watch the tape. Every single closeout possession, the Lakers needed one guy to just create a bucket in a half-court set against the best defense in the league, and nobody could do it. LUKA was hurt with the hamstring in that series. Austin Reeves was on an island. And that specific problem, needing a self-sufficient bucket getter who can create an isolation against a great defender, is exactly what Kawhi Leonard is. Even at 35, even at 50% health, even in the fourth quarter of Game 7, Kawhi is arguably the greatest playoff mid-range scorer of his entire generation. He is a walking playoff isolation bucket. That is not something you develop overnight. That is not something you can scout in July. That is a specific, precious, championship-scarred skill that Kawhi has earned through 2 Finals MVPs and 11 playoff runs. Adding him to a Lakers roster that already has Luka Doncic as the primary creator and Austin Reeves as the third guard gives this team a 3-tiered offensive attack that no defensive coordinator in the West can solve. That is why Luka called Kawhi a killer in his first sentence, because Luka has watched enough Kawhi playoff tape to know what he brings. Reason number 2. The defense. And this is the piece nobody outside of the film room truly understands. Because Luka Doncic is a great offensive player and a struggling defensive player. That is the honest truth of his game. Teams hunt him on defense. They pick and roll at him. They force him into switches. And because the Lakers do not currently have a legitimate wing defender who can guard the other team's best perimeter scorer, Luka's defensive weaknesses get magnified in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Even at 35, Kawhi is one of the best half-court perimeter defenders alive. His hands, his instincts, his positioning, those things do not decline the way athleticism does. Kawhi at 35 is still a top 15 defender in the league, and adding him to a Lakers roster next to Luka means Luka can now hide on defense because Kawhi will take the toughest wing assignment every single night. That is the exact roster fit the Mavericks tried to build for Luka and never quite figured out. Rob Pelinka just watched that available and had to move. And before I get to reason 3, because reason 3 is the word, talk to me in the comments. Lakers fans, real question. Does Luka publicly volunteering to restructure his contract for Kawhi excite you? Or does the Kawhi injury history still terrify you after everything the Clippers went through? Because I think the fan base is genuinely torn on this, and I want to read the arguments below. Go. Reason number 3. The word. Ready? Whatever. Luka Doncic said the word whatever. I will do whatever I have to do. That word was from that man, but is the most important single word Luka has said publicly since he arrived in Los Angeles. Because whatever is a commitment word. Whatever means I am not negotiating the details, I am saying yes to the outcome. When a superstar says whatever it takes about acquiring another superstar, he is telling the fan base and telling the front office and telling the entire NBA that he is fully bought in on the vision. He is willing to give up money. He is willing to give up touches. He is willing to give up ego. Whatever is the anti-superstar ego word, and Luka just used it on live television in front of 2 million viewers. Stop, rewind. Superstars do not casually use the word whatever about restructuring their own contracts. They protect their money. They protect their touches. Luka just publicly said, I don't care about my money. I care about winning. That is a franchise shifting statement. That is the mentality that turns a first-round exit team into a championship team. And Rob Pelinka, who has been trying to figure out what version of Luka he was going to get in Los Angeles, just found out he got the version that puts winning above everything. That is why Rich Paul tweeted the letter K 42 minutes later. Because Rich Paul knows what Luka's whatever means for a Kawhi Leonard signing. It means the money is going to work. It means the culture is right. It means Kawhi has a place to land where the alpha superstar is already publicly on board with him. That is the ideal Kawhi Leonard destination. And Rich Paul just told the market that the destination has been chosen. Now the skeptic. And oh, was the skeptic loud? Stephen A. Smith was on First Take within 70 minutes of Luka's quote going live. Luka Doncic? You're telling me you want Kawhi Leonard? The man played 37 games last year. His knees are done. You think he's gonna save your postseason? You just got swept by OKC and your answer is a 35-year-old load management case? Make it make sense. And listen, Stephen A is not wrong about the games played. Kawhi has averaged around 50 games a season for the last 5 years. His knees are a documented ongoing situation. This is not the 2019 Kawhi walking through the door. But here's the counter, and here's the reason Luka's brain is where it is. The Lakers do not need Kawhi to play 82 games. They need him to play 50 regular season games at a high level and then be available for the playoffs. Because the playoffs are where Kawhi's game specifically wins you championships. And with Luka and Reeves and Kessler carrying the regular season, the Lakers can afford to load manage Kawhi through November, December, January, and February, and then unleash him in April. That is the exact model the Clippers tried to run, and it worked when he was healthy in the playoffs. The problem was his knees breaking in the actual games. The Lakers are essentially betting that with less regular season mileage, Kawhi's playoff availability improves. And they are betting it on a discount contract because he just came off a pause then collapsed Toronto trade and his market has cratered. Stephen A is calculating, will Kawhi play? The Lakers are calculating when Kawhi plays. Two different exercises. Here's the funny part, because Kawhi Leonard has already been in Los Angeles for 6 years playing for the Clippers. 6 years. He knows the city, he knows the traffic, he knows the physical therapy setup, he knows the doctors. All he has to do is drive across town from the Intuit Dome to Crypto.com Arena. That is the shortest, easiest superstar acquisition transition in the history of the NBA. He doesn't have to sell a house. He doesn't have to move his family. He doesn't have to find a new gym. He literally just changes uniforms. And in the meantime, the Clippers, who traded him because they thought his knees were done, get to watch him play for the team across town for 2 more years. That is the pettiest possible outcome. That is the exact kind of narrative fuel that superstars love. Kawhi in purple and gold, walking into Intuit Dome as a visitor, wearing Lakers colors, guarding James Harden on a Tuesday in December. Try not to smile at that. That is basketball karma. And there is a specific historical parallel here that I have to bring up. Because when Kawhi Leonard signed with the Toronto Raptors in 2019, signed, then left for the Clippers a year later, the reason he left, according to every insider report, was that he wanted to play in Los Angeles for his family reasons. He is from Southern California, his extended family is here, his kids are in school here. He wanted to be home. Well, the Clippers just traded him. He didn't leave. The Clippers left him, and now he has the chance to sign with the other Los Angeles team. The one that means something in the city. The one that has 16 championships. The one that has Luka Doncic. That is the emotional wave he is riding right now. And when a superstar rides an emotional wave into a signing, they usually stay for years. Kawhi is not going to bounce out after 1 season. Not if the fit with Luka works. Not if the doctors keep him healthy. Not if the front office gives him what he wants. This is a landing spot with permanence written into it. But the nightmare. I owe you the honest version. There is a world where Kawhi's knees give out in November, where he plays 30 games, where the Luka experiment stalls because his co-star is on the physio table. That is real. That is the risk. But every version of the current Lakers roster requires a superstar level bet, and Kawhi Leonard at a discount is a smarter bet than most alternatives. The floor is a healthy playoff run. The ceiling is a championship. That is the entire proposition. So let me bring it home. Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers matters because he is the exact playoff-ready isolation scorer this roster did not have against OKC. Because his defensive versatility hides Luka's defensive weakness. Because the geographical fit means zero transition friction. And because Kawhi is available at a discount that the Lakers can actually afford. And Luka publicly saying whatever it takes in his first breath is a superstar franchise shift moment. And Rich Paul's K tweet is the receipt from the agent community. This is happening. That is the case. That is the whole story. Now here's what I'm watching next, and this is the next video, so hit subscribe because you do not want to miss it. If Kawhi lands, the very next question is what happens to the young pieces of this Lakers roster and to Austin Reeves specifically, because Reeves has been the #2 scorer since Luka arrived. And now Kawhi coming in changes that pecking order in a big way. Is Reeves the odd man out? Does his contract situation this summer suddenly get complicated? I've got a read on it that I think is going to shock you, but that's for next time. For now, comments, likes, subscribe. Lakers fans, Luka just said whatever. Kawhi's coming home. Wild summer.